Hi there, it's Polly here. Whee! So, I did some reviews of some classic micro games, pocket games, such as Ogre and Chitin 1, and I loved these games. So, the pocket games came out in the late 70s and early 80s, and they were designed to be very, very portable games. Essentially, something you could stick in a school bag or a briefcase. They were something you could bring out at work at lunch, something you could play at lunchtime at school, or something you could just have in your bag if you're at a games club or something, and you can just pull this thing out and play. And they were great because a micro game needed to have a really strong concept, something to make it stand out, and there's not much space in the rules, so the rules have to be very pithy, and each one had to be like kind of radically different. It really had to stand out. So these games all tended to have really good bones. Now, one of my favorite of all times, this is from our good old Metagaming, Helltank. Oh yes, this is the original box, somewhat battered, but this is another one that I carry with me everywhere. This was my favorite science fiction combat game. What I love about this is that yes, it's got a future history in it. So as we go through the this thing's written in like 1980. So as it goes through the terrible nuclear wars that are fought all through the 1990s, and the advances in anti-grav technology that see us through to the beginning of the 21st century. Yes, so now the game is set in the incredible fab science fiction future of, you guessed it, 2022. So yes, we've just staggered through 2022. That's right, folks. 2022 sees these amazing technologies. The game is called Helltank because Helltank stands for essentially heavy launch tank. You've got different types of vehicle and unit in this. So it includes infantry fighting vehicles, fair enough, artillery, barrage missiles, Hawk teams, which I love, which are jetpack powered infantry, which are great. They can really flit around. There are tanks, ordinary everyday kind of tanks. There are MTTs, multi-turreted tanks, and they've got these beautiful pictures of like tanks with like 3 turrets on them, and there we go. I love that. But at the very top there is the Helltank, and the Helltanks have multiple weapon systems and so on them. You've also got helicopters, anti-aircraft platforms, and you've also got cruisers, air cruisers, which are basically a maglev thing which can skim along and has some weapons and so on it. Now, this is a great little science fiction combat game. Each counter has got information on it showing you the movement of the unit. It's got an extra movement, which is its evasion. It's got a range for the unit. At the start of a turn, you basically both roll off against each other for initiative. Whoever gets the initiative must move 1 unit. You can do different things with that. You can move the thing. You can go for evasion, where you move a ton more, and you become very difficult to hit because you're dodging back and forth and whatever, but you can't fire. You can fire and move. You can move and fire. You can fire, move, and move again. You can move, fire, move. Yeah, there's lots of interesting little variants you can do. But essentially, you can move, fire, and move again, which is kind of neat. So you can run up, bang, and kind of peel off. Once you've done a move with the vehicle, your opponent does a move with the vehicle until you're all done. Now, what they've got is a little chart, and you are rolling on a d6, and you're just cross-referencing the units. So if I've got a multi-turreted tank and it is firing at an infantry fighting vehicle, it gives me a score on a d6 I need to destroy it. Simple. There are bonuses for if the thing is in particularly vulnerable terrain, etc. And if he's evading, it's much harder to hit. However, Helltanks don't disappear if they take 1 hit. Helltanks have hit points. They've got 30 hit points, and as you hit them, they do damage which comes off them. Helltanks also have 5 weapon systems on them, and you can pick anything. You can pick any aircraft, you can pick the artillery and barrage, you can pick tank weapons, you can pick all these sorts of things, put them on them. Every time you take damage, you roll a d6. If you roll a 1, you have to remove one of those systems. So, you can slowly peel these things of their offensive capabilities. a thing that this game has that so many things like GEV and Ogre and so on don't have is opportunity fire. So if you have a unit that has not fired and hasn't done full movement or evasive movement, and someone moves into your field of fire, you can make an opportunity attack against it. So you've got to be careful how you move. There are also some little great tactical things in this. So the artillery and the barrage rockets and so on, there are different kinds of loads they can fire. So you can fire at units with precision-guided munitions. You can also use launched minefields. So you just, I'm just firing at a hex, you write it down, and if someone moves in there, you do an opportunity attack on them. And there are, sundry other very cool rounds that you can jump in there and use. There are some interesting little weapon upgrades as the time goes on. So in 2022, of course, this is where we see our lasers coming in, and our mighty maglev cruisers and the Helltanks and all these other things that we're so used to in 2022 as we crawl through the atomic wastelands that have been left by all these wars. I love it. I always wanted to lead a tribe of lizard people through the apocalypse. So tactically, this is a really nice game. Laying the minefields, the different munitions, the mix of different vehicles is great. The Hawk teams were fantastic. You can, they're vulnerable out in the open, but you can zip them through, woods and different urban areas and so on. They're really tough nuts to crack, and you can kind of conceal them. And as someone tries to move through that area, if they haven't revealed these guys before, you get extra opportunity fire on them. So, it's like winkling the infantry. You're going to have to start barraging and doing area attacks with artillery to try and winkle these little buggers out. And great, Now, there was a supplement for this, Helltank Destroyer. Helltank Destroyer, it brought out amphibious warfare. Yay, Helltank Destroyer. So it brought in ordinary everyday kind of hydrofoils and boats and so on, and it brought trifibians, which are basically ground effect craft. So things that can skim along above the water, or can slow down and cruise along the water, or can come up onto the land, like those giant Russian crazy things. And those are massive, massive, massive carriers, so they can have troops and tanks and all this sort of stuff in them. Or you can kit them out as basically, essentially warships that can come up on land. So, yeah, and it brings in some extra weapons and some extra artillery load. So it's nice having the bonus. What did you get with this? Well, like you can see, they're very small sets of rules. They're very tight. Not much to them. They came with maps, and these maps were absolutely fine. They were colour maps, unlike many. So, there's a Helltank Destroyer map. And what you got was a tactical system that let you play cool futuristic battles, and play around with your force mixers and play around with your cunning plans. And it's still, I think, one of the best science fiction ground warfare games I've ever played. It's tight, it's snappy. That just little chart where you're cross-indexing, yes, I've got a multi-turreted tank and I'm firing against an IFV. Woohoo! I'm gonna blow that thing up on it. A 1 to 4 on a 6-sided dice. Fantastic. Easy to get results. And the bigger butcher things like the big Helltank destroyers, the huge transports and the Helltanks, yes, you do have to chip them down a bit. So, but it's not like Ogre where you've got this one massive thing and a swarm of stuff around it. It was way more combined arms than Ogre or GEV. And it was obviously trying to compete for that market. Most players at the time far preferred Helltank, and I still do. It's a great game. Look, it's out of print, of course, and the designer has, yep, he's kind of vanished, but it's got good bones. You can still find this thing online. I'll see if I can give some clues how to find it, but essentially you're going to have to Google that one yourselves. Because it's still under copyright. But a great game. Helltank, a lost gem. But if you can find a copy, one that's really well worth playing. And I have to say, I do like the fact that it's set in the grim, dark future of 2022. What could you ask for that would be more cheerful than that? Anyway, I hope you all have a great new year. Look after yourselves. It's been a real pleasure doing this channel over the year. I want to thank everyone for their support. It's been great having an audience. It's been great seeing the comments and so on down there and engaging with everybody. I will keep going. Looks like Santa has brought me a vast duffel bags full of more games to review. So I got my reading cut out for me over the holidays. So I will get reading. I will start jotting down notes for reviews, and I will see you guys in a few weeks' time. Cheers, everybody. Keep rolling the dice. Bye.